Contender Series 2025, week number 5. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I will be live for the entire Contender Series card Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Looking forward to the fight companion. You should be too. And we got 5 fights to get into here that I'm looking forward to talking about. Definitely a weirder week as far as some of the matchups go. And I'll tell you why here in a moment. Let's get to the next one. The first, I should say, is the ladies going after it. It's Shanelle Dyer versus Foro. I think that Shanelle Dyer wins. I'm going to pick her, but I have a lot of positive notes on the side of Foro. As far as her stand-up game, it's legit. She has boxing and kickboxing experience. She has knockout power. She has slick punches. She has heavy kicks. She cuts off the cage pretty well, and she closes the gap and rips nice punch combinations on the inside with power in her left hook and has won fights by knockout. She's 8-1 as a pro. There's a lot of things to really like for a 28-year-old prospect. Now, of course, unproven at a high level, though she looks really technically sound with a good striking rhythm and bounce against mid-tier opposition, I'm hard-pressed to go out and pick her against Shanelle Dyer, who is a PFL Europe veteran. Not only is she a PFL Europe veteran, she was a finalist. She ended up getting injured, fight got canceled, and then she ended up never fighting in PFL again. She actually has not fought since her semifinal win against Sketazi, who ended up going on and fighting in the finals and losing. Dyer's really good. Now, of course, that last fight against Sketazi, it went to shit. It was a split decision. It was probably too close for comfort against a girl who had a terrible record. But I still see positives. Like, could that have just been a bit of an off performance for her with that tournament format? Pretty much forcing you into fighting, relatively quick, right? A year and 2 months, and then bam, about 3 months later, you're fighting again. Was there something going on? Was there an injury prior? And that's why she ended up getting, more significantly injured and pulling out of the finals. When Shanelle Dyer is on, she's legit. Stand-up game is smooth. Good striking skill set with speed, power, efficiency, and accuracy. I like the fact that she has a good smooth rhythm with her speed and stringing punch and kick combinations together. She's got dangerous body work as well. Got knockout win in PFL with a head kick. She looks to be like everything you want out of a female prospect to watch. And that can kind of be said on the side of Foro, but where it can't be said is level of opposition. I have to say, PFL, we can flack them all the time and whatnot. For Dyer, it means something to me that she was able to go out there in the PFL and perform to an okay degree. She was able to go out there and get wins, undefeated in the PFL. I think it holds some weight, and I'm going to pick her to win a decision in a fight that could definitely be close. And also a fight that I think both girls could be looked at as potential prospects to sign. But ultimately, I think Dyer gets it on the cards. She'll be able to do a little bit more. The size advantage could be the key to it all. And I am going to say that ends up being the ultimate difference maker. I'm going with Shanelle Dyer to start the card off in a competitive fashion, but nonetheless, a victory. Let's check the ladies out. Let's scroll through. We got Foro on the scale, looking pretty solid here. She's definitely in shape as a prospect, smooth striking game, and has like a calm, intense 1,000-yard stare. On the other side, you got Shanelle Dyer, definitely a good athlete, pretty jacked actually for women's 125, and seems to have the physical tools to be somebody to watch. You see the size difference? I feel like Foro, if she could get down to 115, even with a loss, if I'm Dana White, I'm considering bringing her on board because her wins look really good. And I think if she puts up a decent fight here, she could still be a prospect to end up keeping the eye on. But nonetheless, I think the side of Dyer does enough. As far as the betting lines for the fight, odds have Dyer as -170, Foro at plus 145. I think size differentiates the two. I don't want to say more than anything. I still think the skill disparity, there's a slight athleticism and speed edge for Dyer, though I think Foro is quite talented. If they were the same size, maybe it's a different fight. But I think if Foro can cut down to 115 and she's willing to, even with a hard fought decision loss here, I could see them bringing her on board. Over 2.5 minus 165. I think it's probable. I'm going to say Dyer goes out and wins, but keep your eye on Foro. That's what I'll tell you. Keep your eye on her. See, 115, right? She fought at 125 last time, but she's fighting at straw weight normally. You get where I'm going with it? Yeah, she fought at 125 in her most recent bout, but she is a women's strawweight and a damn good women's strawweight at that. But unfortunately, flyweight fight against a red-hot flyweight prospect. Both girls, I consider signing if it's a close fight. I'm going to say Dyer gets her hand raised, goes out, and wins this thing. I feel like she pulls it off, and I'm excited for this ladies fight. Let's get to the next fight on the card. We got Chasen Blair versus Samuel Sanches. Samuel Sanches is completely unproven at a high level. Worse than Foro, to be honest. At least Foro's got, decent experience with UAE Warriors and whatnot. Sanches looks powerful, but the level of opposition is simply not quality. Whereas Chasen Blair is coming back for his second Contender Series fight. Last season, he lost to Cody Steele. I'm going to go for Chasen Blair to pull through. I'm unsold on Samuel Sanches. When you're finding, limited film, and what I do see is essentially every single fight he's been in has been a mismatch in his favor. Has one pro loss. It's on YouTube. Got caught in a nasty knee bar. Was taking the opponent down, was controlling him, and then got caught in a sub. But like looking at Sanchez's resume, it is a lot of shit level opposition. Even Evaldo Santos. Oh, well, he's 17-5. Look at the record closely. This is a false record. He's fighting a, record ineligible. That means you're in a complete mismatch, right? Squash match, 0-0, 5-6, 11-3, lost to a debut guy, right? 0-0, 19-14. You see where I'm going with this? He took out a guy with a pretty record on paper last time easily, but not a high-level competitor. Fight before that, a 7-7 fighter. Fight before that, 7-11. Fight before that, 10-6. It's like the guys he's beating are just simply not too good. Maybe not any bit good. It's just certified cans that obviously the talented Brazilian prospect is going to smoke, but he hasn't even gotten like a mid-level Brazilian. It's like he's not even fought like somewhat of another prospect. It's been all favorable matchups nonstop. I cannot make my prediction towards a guy that has proven nothing as far as being battle tested. Now, of course, Tommy McMillan, look what he did. He dug deep and turned up. He didn't have any high-level opposition on the resume. But I just can't do it here. I'm going to go with Chasen Blair because I think Chasen Blair is actually pretty decent. He's a good fighter, tough, 4 years older, good pressure style, finisher. All of his victories, finishes. 4 knockouts, 3 submission. He has a pretty sound grappling game with a decent aggressive stand-up style. Can mix some punches up nicely. Good overhand shots with a comfortable ability to switch up stances. Samuel Sanches, we don't know what happens after round 1. It's too many red flags for me. I'm going to go for Blair. I think that he can find a way. I'm going to say experience is a factor. He's fighting in Cage Warriors. I know Cage Warriors get shit on a lot, like Harry Hardwick getting destroyed and whatnot, but there's still a certain level of opposition that is set forth in Cage Warriors that's just not in these Brazilian national leagues to build up prospects, which Sanches has spent his entire career fighting in. I'm going to go with the more battle-tested Chasen Blair to bounce it back on the Contender Series. Get a W after a hard loss to Cody Steele last time. I still think Chasen Blair's got promise. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got good striking. He's aggressive. He's a finisher. He's athletic. And I think hand raised against Samuel Sanches, potentially a submission. I don't know what to believe about Samuel Sanches. He's simply put an unproven unknown with a pretty record on paper. I'm not going to pick that. I'm going to go for a battle-tested Chasen Blair to win as an underdog in this one. Let's check out the fighters on the scales. Let's see what we're looking at here. We got to go different directions. The order is absolutely screwed on Tapology. I'm going the proper bout order. Now, to be fair, Samuel Sanches looks pretty jacked and shredded. Good shape, 22-year-old. Chasen Blair looking shredded up and ready to go. We know he always brings the fight. Got put down by the body shots of Cody Steele. And then there's the face-off. Listen, a little size advantage for Sanches. We'll see what he can do. maybe he goes out and actually is like a serious blue chip prospect to watch, or maybe Chasen Blair with a higher level of opposition can handle this Brazilian kid. I don't like a guy that isn't battle tested. Say what you want about Chasen Blair losing to Cody Steele. He got ripped with a big body shot in the second round. Kid's got guts. He's got a fun style. He's got good jiu-jitsu. And I think he's going to have an ability to push a pace here with Sanches and test him. And I'm going to go for a more tested fighter. Chasen Blair to win is the pick. As far as the betting lines, he's a slight underdog, barely an underdog. Plus 100 for Chasen Blair. Minus 120 for the side of Samuel Sanches. I mean, the over-under is risky in this fight, but you lean towards under 2.5 at minus 215, just with Chasen Blair being a violence-first style and Sanches also being a finisher, though he's finishing. I'm going to say Chasen Blair finds a way to solve this Brazilian puzzle. I'm going to pick him to get his hand raised in a slight upset. And I think being a Contender Series veteran is also positive here as he comes into this fight knowing what to expect. I'm going to say he can do it this time. I like Chasen Blair. I thought he's skillful. Even leading up to the Cody Steele fight, I thought he was pretty good. In this matchup, I think he can pull through. But we'll find out everything about Samuel Sanches, and we'll get, some real tape on him following this fight so we actually have an idea of, what level he truly fights at. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Felipe Franco versus Freddy Vidal. Another one where we got unproven, but this time is both sides, man. This is a hard pick for me to make because, we have two guys without many high-level fights, none. 2-4 last time, and then 0-0 last time for Franco. So it's like can-crushing galore. Oh, this type of matchup kills me. Now, I'm going to pick Felipe Franco because he was preparing to be on this card. He had two opponents fall through. Vidal stepped up. He's the most recent fill-in. Vidal can wrestle a bit. He's a big body. Reminds me a lot of Eric Anders, actually. Kind of like, a young Eric Anders to his game. Physically, he's strong. He trains with the Serra Longo team. He's got a decent amount of clinch control, pressure, and takedowns from top. He definitely has grit. Like, I watched an amateur fight of his, and he's not tapping out from like a fully locked-in armbar. Fights his way out of it, comes back, wins the fight. The opponent broke, though. It's not like he was completely dominant. He's run through some dudes with good clinch control and some good knees to the body. Like, he seems to be all right. He seems to have some grit to him, and he seems to have some quality clinch work and some wrestling. He's a wrestling coach. But my God, man, 3 pro bouts and no high-level pro bouts. Nobody on the resume that I'm like, oh, I've seen this face. Like, it's nothing. It's amateur work. Felipe Franco's the same situation. I hate making picks between guys that are can crushers because you really don't know. But I'll tell you, Felipe Franco, one thing about him, seems to be a true athletic freak. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, seems in incredible shape, competes in Gi Jiu-Jitsu as well. Seems to have power in his hands, a bit of a Brazilian Muay Thai stand-up style to his flow. I think Felipe can pull through, potentially by submission, but I'm not crazy about gambling on this fight. I'll tell you that. Definitely not crazy about that at all because you have two unproven guys facing off against one another. But I do think Felipe Franco seems like a hell of an athlete with good ground game where, Freddy Vidal's game is the ground game. But I don't know. How good is it really? He's breaking people. Let's see if Franco's got some grit to him if he's battle tested a bit in this fight. I'm going to say Franco can win. He was preparing for this spot. I'm going to take the guy that was preparing off a full camp as opposed to a tough short notice fill-in. There's Vidal weighing in. He looks like he's straight out of New York. Seems in okay shape for a short notice, but also seems completely stoned, like he took 7 ripskis beforehand. And then there's some aura on the side of Franco. And then there's the face-off. Size is similar between the two. Franco seems to be in better shape for sure. I think Franco can win this one, man. 8 pro fights to 3, even though it's low-level opposition, both sides. You got to say, in the back of your mind, you respect the BJJ black belt. But then again, what the hell does that mean in 2025? I don't even know. I'll go with Franco. I'll say Felipe is live for a finish, potentially a submission or a ground and pound finish. I feel like Vidal's going to try to buzzsaw him and pressure him and bully him a bit. And then Franco could maybe land some counter shots, get to the back, get on top. But really, it's a battle of unknowns. It's a what do you know? We'll find out type of fight. Betting wise, Felipe Franco is a minus 450 favorite. So there's obviously some love from the books here. 8-0 record is nice. No high level opposition is not. Plus 350 for Vidal. I don't agree with wide lines. I would not bet a minus 450 Franco. Under 1.5, minus 265. It could go over a round and a half. I don't think Freddy Vidal is a complete bum. It's just he hasn't fought anybody good, and neither has Felipe Franco. I mean, you look at the resumes, man. He's got a lot of cancel fights for the Contender Series this season. 0-0, 0-1, 9-16. Like, look, terrible opposition. Freddy Vidal on the other side, 2-4, 0-0, 1-1. But he's got some amateur experience. I don't think this is minus 450. I think this fight could go over a round and a half. I'm going to say that Freddy Vidal is at the very least tough enough to survive a bit. What is the over 1.5 is plus 219. I'm going to say it goes over a round and a half. I don't know what to expect necessarily for this matchup, aside from the fact that I know Franco has some jiu-jitsu and athleticism, and Vidal has some wrestling and some physicality. How does that match up? Like, okay, does Vidal press him against the cage and then gas out, stepping in on short notice? Does Franco show some dangerous hands and get a knockout? Seems like an explosive Brazilian talent. I'm going to go towards the Brazilian. I'm going to go towards Felipe Franco. I'll say he wins, but my God, minus 450 for a guy that's fought nobodies? That's kind of crazy to me. I feel like the odds for this fight, in my mind, are much more minus 110 on both sides, and I'd call it, even in some ways, a bit of a coin flip, but I will go Felipe Franco to finish Freddy Vidal, but I'm going to say it goes over a round and a half. I'm going to say Vidal definitely shows guts in the fight, but with Contender Series, you don't know for sure. Let's get to the co-main event. We got Cam Teague versus Lahayan Douglas in this one. I'm going to go with Lahayan Douglas to win against Cam Teague. This is actually a fight where I feel I have truly substantial evidence to back my claims, not just a bit of intuition and hope, because there is a lot of tape on both these guys. Now, you remember Cam Teague, he got killed last season by Kevin Vallejos. He was absolutely used as the opponent in that fight, and he got destroyed, as he should have. But Cam Teague is 9-1. Like, he's got a fucking tough style, very pressure-based, not the most athletic guy, very much more so of like a slow twitch style, but pressure. Straight punches, eats shots, lands shots of his own, seems to overwhelm people with his willingness to engage, even when there's offensive aggression that's effective on the other side. I'd say he's got a decent chin. He's got a nice win over Austin Lingo, the big knees, the comeback. Like, that means something to me. Austin Lingo's an ex-UFC fighter. Cam Teague is not a bum. Kevin Vallejos is quite good. Then he beat two okay guys, 9-8, 5-4. He fought two journeymen. And actually, most recently, did a boxing match. A guy making his professional debut in all combat. He'd only done amateur, believe boxing and like cage boxing before. So Cam Teague's hands are decent. Bit of like an open square stance. High volume type of guy that's going to walk you down and throw hard. Well, he's running into thunder. He's running into trouble on the opposite side because Douglas is a dangerous, dangerous power hitter. He's the LFA featherweight champion. He just knocked out Miles John's brother. Clean hooks in range, very nasty left hook, but rips both hands nicely when he's inside of the pocket. Pretty smooth stand-up game with heavy low kicks, a light bounce to his style, a good ability to close the gap and strike hard. Also, a lot of patience to his game, and I'd say he's defensively sound. Cam Teague likes to push a pace and pressure and make opponents uncomfortable. I think he's going to walk into a kill shot. And I also think that the takedown defense of Douglas is sound with knockout power. 12-5 record, you just look at that and you'll be misled. He actually fought Chepe Mariscal at one point and lost earlier in his career. I think that Douglas is pretty good. LFA featherweight champion with knockout power in his hands, a nasty left hook, and a guy who likes to eat shots to land shots of his own on the opposite side. Seems like recipe for violence. I'm going to say that Douglas knocks him out, and I feel pretty good about this prediction here. Seems a lot more sensible to be made between those two. You know, both guys have actual decent level of competition that they fought and seem like proper Contender Series fights, not just kind of randoms they're pulling out of nowhere. Now, there's Lahayan Douglas on the scale, looking pretty jacked and shredded, tough Brazilian. They call him the gunslinger. There's Cam Teague, rocking the ginger fro. Listen, he's got a vibe to him. He looks like he's straight out of the 1970s. Napoleon Dynamite up in here. And there's the face-off between the two. I'm going to say the Dynamite is on the side of Lahayon Douglas. I'm going to say he lands some big shots on the chin, and I think he knocks Cam Teague out in the first 2 rounds. He was actually like a second-round sniper. Minus 700 odds for Lahayon Douglas. I do think he's very live to win, and I agree with him being a big favorite. Plus 525 for Cam Teague. I like the idea of a knockout prop for Lahayon Douglas. Over a round and a half plus 105. I definitely think it's probable to go under. I think that under 2.5 rounds is more of a lock because I do think there's a finish. I'm going to say Lahayon Douglas by knockout would be my favorite prop of this fight. And at 7-1, yes, he's an ugly favorite, but I think he can get his hand raised. And I think finish coming by KO. Specifically watch for the left hook, especially with Cam Teague's over willingness to engage and a little bit lack of head movement and that open stance. There's a lot of vulnerabilities to counter power shots that Lahayon Douglas is simply put going to find often. So I'm going with the gunslinger. I'm going with Douglas. I'm going with knockout. Let's jump to the main event of the evening. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you all smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got a heavyweight fight. We got Anthony Guarascio versus Steven Asplund. I think Guarascio is a problem in this matchup right here. I'm going Guarascio by KO. Now, he also is representing Tampa, Florida. We don't have too many top-level guys, but got a heavyweight with some power bombs in his hands. Of course, I'm back in Tampa's finest, but not just because of that. I would have picked him either way. I like this guy's style. Aggressive striking attack, but it's not too wild and over aggressive. There is a sense of patience to him. He beat Bailey Schoenfelder in his most recent fight to win that Cage Fury belt by violent first-round knockout. If you remember, Bailey Schoenfelder was a big favorite to beat Danilo Voivovikin, who was also on last year's Contender Series, and obviously Danilo ends up destroying him. But at the end of the day, Guarascio going out, getting a violent knockout against a decent name, that means something to me. Schoenfelder 5-1 and fought on Contender Series, and Guarascio made it look easy, dropped him, knocked him out. He went straight back, ref stopped it. Even though it looked like Schoenfelder recovered, the way that he went out, he seemed flat out. He hit his head on the damn canvas hard. Guarascio has big power in his left and right hooks. He's patiently aggressive. He's not over aggressive to like a disgustingly wild standpoint. It's more of calmed pressure, winning the battle of real estate, slowly taking his moment to throw the big bombs. And they land quite often. He's a good boxing pressure fighter. He has a God-given gift of knockout power. And I feel like he tends to have a knack for finding clean headshots quite well. Now, on the other side, Steven Asplund can box a little bit. He's actually got some deceptive hand speed, a bit of like that hands-low slickster boxing style, which keeping the hands near the chest against a guy like Guarascio seems like a recipe to get your ass flatline KO'd. Asplund, he's been beaten up on the ground in fights. He's been mauled on the mat. He got submitted before. Even his last fight, he got mauled in round 1. They got the comeback KO. Does seem to get caught with power hooks because he's a bit upright with his kickboxing stance and there's not a ton of head movement. Definitely has good comeback ability, definitely gritty, definitely wants to win. Even when things go against him, it doesn't seem like he loses faith in himself, but I don't think that really matters. When you have somebody that can literally turn the lights off with one shot, all it's going to take is one punch. And I think Guarascio, though he's young in his MMA career, okay, I think he thrives in this spot here. 3-0 on Tapology, but 4-0 on MMA Fight Center. This one fight's a no contest, but I don't have an exact reason why. I don't know. I'd have to dig deeper. Hopefully it wasn't some type of PED failure, but even if it was, he turned up heavy in the most recent 2. Guarascio's a problem. Knockout power is legit. Tampa's got a heavyweight to watch. I'm backing the guy, and I think he's going to look violent, and I'm excited as hell to watch him drop some thunder with his hands on Steven Asplund. I think Asplund's getting knocked the fuck out in this one right here, and I'm excited for the Guarascio Contender Series chance. There's Asplund looking like a hairy fucking gorilla. Obviously, this guy lost a shitload of weight, even got some excess skin removed, so respect to him turning his life around, doing MMA, getting in shape, and, you know, no longer being morbidly obese, though he's not shredded to the gills. I got to respect him for, you know, losing the extra poundage. He's a big dude at 6'5". Guarascio on the other side, intense look to him, staring into the damn camera's soul, face tattoos and all. This is Florida man. Florida man Guarascio represent, and he's going to show some real power. Guy's got a knack for landed headshots. There's a face-off between the two. I think Guarascio is landing thunder on the chin of Asplund, and I think he's knocking him the fuck out. I'm thinking first round KO. I think Asplund will have a little success with jabs and he'll try to come inside. And then I think Guarascio's going to catch him with bombs over the top. I'm going Guarascio. I'm going violent KO. And I'm going UFC contract for him as well. God-given gift of power can take you far in the heavyweight division. He's a minus 165 favorite. I think it's a good call. Him minus 165. That's pretty quality for a guy that seems to have the true touch of death. And then the guy on the opposite side in Asplund that seems hittable. Asplund plus 145 on the opposite end. I think this is a Guarascio showcase chance. Under 1.5, minus 185. I do think fight inside distance. I think Guarascio by KO is pretty damn live. I like the chances of Guarascio getting a violent finish. I think his hands are going to look ferocious. I see big left hook right over the top. I see Asplund laying flat on his back. And I see Dana White jumping out of his chair and Guarascio getting a UFC contract. I like the knockout specialist. I'm going to pick him to win. Anthony Guarascio to cap off the show with a knockout in the main event and a heavyweight contract. We damn sure need heavyweights. And maybe Guarascio's got some thunder he can bring. I'm excited for it. And I got him winning. Now, those are my predictions for this week's Contender Series card, but we're not done yet. I do want to discuss some parlays and how we could potentially play things. So I would say, you know, if you look at fights that gave me a reasonable amount of confidence based upon evidence, I like Lahayan Douglas. I like Guarascio. Minus 119. I think those two together are quite live to hit. I'm going to predict that both of them win. And I think both are live for violent KOs. If you are considering doing a KO parlay, you could put these both by KO. I don't have the props yet, but you'd obviously get some plus money if you were to do something like that. Now, taking it a step further, I'm going to pick the side of Shanelle Dyer, bigger girl, really talented, versus a fellow talent, but a strawweight fighting up in weight at 125. I'm going to say that Shanelle Dyer gets it done. So plus 192 for the 3. Now, Chasen Blair, underdog call. He's completely in a matchup that I don't want to say he's blind into, but like we don't know for sure the level of Samuel Douglas because limited film and limited level of opposition. He's running through cans. Okay. You're running through cans. Okay. Maybe he's really good. He looks like an athlete. So betting wise, I lean towards the stay away, but for the sake of the parlay, add him in plus 484. Felipe, Franco, Freddy, Vidal. I think Franco probably melts him. Vidal stepping on short notice. Can wrestle. Not a ton else. I'm going to say Franco for the win. So if you were to sweep the card with the parlay, plus 651 for the card sweep on this one right here. Plus 651. Now, thinking about it from a different angle, would I want to, chase big money on that? No. I think this is like one of those weird ones, man. Like I like Lahayan Douglas and Guarascio, and I like Dyer. These are 3 picks I feel better about. I think Chasen Blair can win. I think Franco wins, plus 651. But let me spin some things, all right? So these 3 together is great and all, but I'm going to take it off. I'm going to clear the slate for a second. I feel as though you could consider, let's double check here what the over 1.5 is on, I believe this is the fight. Nope, not this fight. Chasen Blair, Sanches. Let's see. I want to see what the over 1.5s look like. And then Franco, Vidal. If Vidal's got some grit to him, you got plus 219 for an over 1.5. It's not a guarantee. It's plus money for a reason. But maybe. I mean, let's see if I can get like a plus 219 line to give you guys a little mock read of what it could be. So I'll use a plus 215. So plus 215. Let's say we played an over in that fight with Vidal Franco. And then you tied it in with the side of Lahayan Douglas, right? It doesn't do much. But with Guarascio, plus 479. Then with Dyer, plus 820. Then if you had Chasen Blair, you got plus 1739 if that comes through. But maybe you don't want to play Chasen Blair. You feel like this Brazilian kid seems to have some aura. He does. Plus 820 is still solid. I'm curious what the props are. I don't have the whole slate, but I would say I would consider doing Lahayan Douglas, KO, Guarascio, KO as well, and really trying to make like a magic parlay with that. If you put the over 1.5, you get plus money with then the, probably a minus 150 line for Lahayan Douglas by KO. If I had to guess, I would be under the assumption it's towards minus 150. Then Guarascio, it's probably plus 110 for KO, around that region. You'd have a pretty good parlay. Now, before the card, if you tune into the Fight Companion, we will have the full slate of the props out, and I can give you guys a more expansive parlay section and some prop opinions as well. So make sure you guys tune in live 8 p.m. Eastern time Tuesday, which is tomorrow, for the Fight Companion. But beyond just the Fight Companion, if you're looking to play some final bets in and you want some more insight once we have the props and all, I can give you guys my analysis set forth for that, okay? But that's where the mentality's at. I like this card. I'm most excited for probably Guarascio and Lahayan Douglas. I think those are two guys that seem to have a bit of juice to their game. The rest of them, Shanelle, Dyer looks really good in the Foro fight. As far as the ladies go, that's an amazing matchup. The other ones, we'll find out. I look forward to finding out. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Contender Series breakdown. Definitely smash the like button and let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think of some of these unknown matchups? Are you feeling a different side than me? Or are you seeing what I'm seeing? Or you're like, yo, I'd stay the hell away too because I don't know for sure. I want to hear from the folks. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I love you all. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. If you enjoy the content, but you got nothing to say in the comments, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Turn the post notifications on too because you don't want to miss a video or live stream. All right? I love you, chat. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.